Warning: this show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewers' discretion is advised. This show may contain strong language and sensitive or controversial topics. We are not attorneys and are not providing legal advice. The views and conversations are our own thoughts and feelings, and therefore, purely speculation.
The entertainment world and beyond.
Skywalker air miles, feeding on a surface, gliding on water, constricted and conflicted.
Welcome to Purely Speculation, a show that exposes the harmful effects of the criminal legal system. I'm your host, Heather Lewis, the Executive Director of the Reuniting Family Bail Fund and practitioner of participatory defense. On this show, you learn about the unspoken horrors of the criminal justice system and meet fierce allies and advocates. We will make the best of our traumatic experiences. We will get angry. We may even cry. We most certainly going to laugh, but one thing's for sure, we're going to keep it real. Welcome to Purely Speculation.
When they free my sins and let them loose, they was killing me, I got scars to prove, got me paralyzed, I could even barely move. Out the way I took the pain again.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to episode 6 of Purely Speculation. I apologize for getting started a little late. We just have a phenomenal guest that's just doing phenomenal work in the community. And so we just had to wait for her to finish saving the world. And so tonight we have a special show. Every time we have a show, it's a special show. So April is Minority Health Month, and we have a phenomenal person that's in the health field. And as you read the statistics here, that about 25% of African Americans seek mental health treatment compared to 40% of our white counterparts. And so let that resonate, because anybody that knows me or has heard me speak about this topic, I'm very open and transparent about my own mental health journey, my experiences with therapy, and good therapists and not so good therapists. And you know, I wasted a lot of money until I met a truly authentic therapist that is true to the ethics and the training and the skill and the teachings that they are given to those licensed therapists. And so with all that being said, I mean, I can say many more flattering words of my dear friend, my favorite therapist that's not my therapist anymore. Please welcome Akea Williams, founder of Akea's Heart and Counseling Services. Akea the therapist, my friend, my office partner, the beautiful, the one and only Akea. Welcome, darling.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come share with us your journey, what led you to be a therapist, and just what it all means to you, helping us normalize seeking therapeutic services, helping us recognize what quality therapists look like versus those that are just kind of eating popcorn while you sitting on a couch pouring your soul out and they don't know what the fuck to do to help you. You know what I mean? That's one thing that you've taught me that I'm so grateful for, because I was struggling. I was spending a lot of money with somebody that was not helping me get to where I needed to be. That because I didn't even know that I was not getting treated in the manner that was helpful from a therapist and a client role. So let's back up to, when we have guests, we depending on what it is, we have an origin story, and it's always about where people began and where they are now. And it's becoming a thing. If we don't have a guest that's speaking on political topics or, the decriminalization of cannabis, what we've found is that our other guests have a story from trauma to triumph. And you have an incredible story from trauma to triumph. So give us a little bit about Akea's origin story and walk us through from those origins until the woman that you are today.
Okay, sure. So, yep, I am a true believer of everybody has a story, and your story is definitely a part of why you become who you are. So, going all the way back, right? My biological mother was killed by my father when I was an infant. So I was raised by my aunt, which that whole situation was just traumatic in itself, right? So my aunt wanted to raise me with the idea of she was my mother and my biological mother was not. So I was raised and taught to call my mother aunt. And I didn't find out that she was actually my biological mother until I was 8 years old. And I found out from my next door neighbor. Didn't live in a household where that was something where you kind of talked about. It was like, yeah, that happened. Your father killed your mother. You're lucky you're not in DHS. So basically that meant don't ask no questions. So I kind of grew up just figuring it out, just creating stories in my head on what happened and what didn't happen. And then I got to, it wasn't really until, I feel like my story didn't begin until high school when I really figured out what abandonment was. So at 15 years old, my mom, which was my aunt, she signed over her papers to me, like basically custody of me, to a friend of mine's parents, basically giving me away in the parking lot of a McDonald's. So I was 15 years old. I literally still get chills when I tell that story because I can remember feeling like a piece of trash, like a McDonald's French fry on the ground that was next to me.
Right.
And that was it. She signed over her rights and gave these people full custody of me, which I appreciate them and love them. They adopted me and became my adoptive family. And then I continued high school. And then once I wanted to be a lawyer. Because I wanted to be a prosecutor because in my mind, I wanted to put away anybody who did bad stuff, like people who abandoned people who kill people. I wanted to be the person who put them away because that made me feel like I was getting some sort of vengeance and that would make me feel better. And then I took a trauma class in college and changed my whole perspective on life. I'm like, oh, I found my people. This is where I belong.
Right. That's just such an amazing, I mean, to make it to college after beginning like that is a testament to who you are, right? The whatever. So like we talk about being products of our environment, and yes, that impacts us and some of the things, but you kind of overcame that. And I mean, most folks it would be in your situation wouldn't even think about going to college. And here you are, college graduate, you got license, you got degrees, you've got, multiple degrees and things like that. So that trauma class changed your trajectory from being an attorney to want to prosecute people to being a therapist to want to heal people. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I learned through therapy, right, that I was a box checker, right? I never enjoyed life. I just went through life just doing stuff because it kept me distracted. So if I can take a class, I'm taking it. If I can do this, I'm doing it, right? So, but I've always excelled, especially in school. So I had to take the trauma class because it was just a requirement. And we had an assignment, which was we had to write a story or write like a 1-page thing about ourselves. And I think I wrote like maybe 2 pages. I went over and I didn't think that it was a big deal. I just did the assignment to turn it in. And we got in the class and the damn professor read it was 32 people in this class and she read mine out loud. Everybody in the room crying. And I'm looking around like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? Like, what? Like, don't everybody go through this?
Right. Like your story was normal.
Not realizing that, no, everybody has their own trauma, but my trauma is specific to me. So I was completely confused as to what emotions I was feeling. And luckily I was in a trauma class who was taught by a therapist and she was able to help me process because I sat there after the class was over for probably 45 minutes of cussing her out because she didn't ask my permission to do it. And then the other half of crying, realizing like, this is what is wrong with me. Like, so there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not crazy. I don't feel this way for no reason. Like, she was able to, in a short amount of time, just show me that your childhood trauma is exactly why you are how you are. You can't receive love. You can't feel love. You can't even show it because you don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it feels. And she gave me an assignment to come back. She said, how do you know you were loved as a child? and I couldn't complete it because I realized I wasn't.
That's deep. And that's the perfect spot for me to ask these couple of questions, because as you're talking, and let me just tell you, y'all, because I'm gonna jump ahead, because me and Akea, have a unique relationship. When I say my favorite therapist, she was literally my therapist for one day. COVID was driving me so crazy. Like I couldn't, I was trying to adopt a cat, and it was like I was trying to adopt a human being. Like it was just insane. I couldn't adopt a cat. I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like it was just all this stuff going on. And I was like, I need to find a therapist, get back into therapist. And I met her and sat after I cried and snotted all on her couch. She was like, I cannot be your therapist because we need to do work together. And it's like, this is so crazy because we have similar stories. I'm a little bit older than you, but how common is your story? Because I'm looking at like we make up stories to fill in the gaps of our childhood to kind of normalize and make it all make sense, because our little brains as children don't know can't process it. And then you mentioned about being a box checker, and it's like, okay, how many people out there are box checkers? Like, okay, this episode today of Purely Speculations is not going to be y'all therapy. It might be an introduction. You can put some questions in the chat for Akea, and if we can therapize you in a 30 minutes, we might try. But you know what I mean? She's the go-to because she kept it real. She gave me permission, just like you just said. Your instructor gave you permission to feel like what you were experiencing was normal for you. Mm-hmm. We like to measure ourselves against other people and say, all right, well, they're normal and I'm not. And it's like you gave me permission to be okay with not being okay. You know what I mean? And then it's like nobody ever gave me that before. They never gave me tools to kind of work on, one, build up the skills that I already had, because we develop our own skills from our trauma, right? And so figuring out how to use them to actually work through and process, right? You told me therapy shouldn't be a life sentence. And I'm like, what? I thought I was going to be in therapy forever. And now my favorite therapist, who is my personal therapist, is like, Heather, when you come in, I'll get back with you, girl. You know we good. And so she gave me those tools that now I can see what's happening. I know what my triggers are. I know that if I don't get away from this is going to trigger, and it's going to trigger other things, and we're going to have a problem. And so that's what you taught me that therapy is about and what therapy is for. And that's the message that's not being told to everyone, not just people of color, because we done came up with our own reasons why therapy ain't for us, right? But just in general, I think in the practice that people are not being told that therapy is situational and it's specific and it's for a specific amount of time. And so I don't remember what my question was. Maybe how common is this? Or like elaborate on why therapy is so important, and particularly for people of color, but why people just, therapy, is it therapists? Is it the industry? Like, how is it that we're not getting the message that you're giving? All the therapists that I've encountered, no one has ever, and I can count on one, at least four therapists that I've had. You are the only one that has shared that information with me.
I think that it's important to understand that people are individuals, right? And we get caught up in a world, in a society world, right, where society is a whole. So when you're an individual in a society, that's like being, when you are experiencing these things, you start to normalize it. So you don't realize that what your normal isn't somebody else's normal. So because of that, if you're not in tune with yourself to be able to understand that, then you start having expectations of other people. So now, because I know how to get through my trauma, you should know how to get through your trauma. But my trauma isn't your trauma. So we have to be able to figure out, okay, what got you here? What are some of the things that you experienced? Because we could have went through the very same experience, but we had a different environment. So it formulated different in us. So it's super important for people to, one, go out and seek help, because we weren't raised in a generation of go to therapy. It was either go to church or shut up. You talk to God about it or you figure it out. And there was no in between.
Right.
But sometimes we need, and although, religion is important for who is important too, we need a real life, tangible person that can hear us and make us understand that we are not crazy. Right? Because if we start hearing the voices in our head and then we labeling them God, now they want to 302 us. They didn't want to give us medication, but this is what we were taught growing up. These are your only coping skills. Church or whatever religion you in, or figure it out, or be quiet. You ain't going through nothing. You don't have no emotions. You don't feel that. You'll be all right. Those are the things that were instilled in us. And then we get taught from a baby up to adulthood that you treat people how you want to be treated. Absolutely not. You treat people how they want to be treated, because what I like and what you like can be completely different. You treat people how they want to be treated, and you teach people how to treat you. But you got to learn how to treat you first. So sometimes it comes with unlearning a bunch of different things that you've learned, right? So you could, if you're 35 years old, you might have to unlearn 35 years of things that somebody put into your head to make you feel like this is what your life should be. This is what you should be doing. And when you don't meet those measures, now you're feeling defeated. But those are expectations that somebody else put on you. So what I always encourage my clients to do is, if it's attached to a pronoun, he, she, they, them, theirs, it's not yours. So we can't worry about it. We got to focus on you first. What makes you comfortable? What is it that you need? And then we can try and, venture off. So that's why I feel like I'm a little different than other people, because we're not focusing on the community as a whole. We're not focusing on the society as a whole. We're focusing on us as an individual so that we can impact more, right? You shouldn't be in therapy forever, because how are you going to impact or learn or even show that you've learned anything if you're still here? We're just going in circles.
Right. So we had a question or a comment in the comment section from Rudy Huxtable. Can you please kind of share in the chat what you mean? I'm not that they didn't get the tools they didn't have because they didn't know. So if you can just kind of clarify, we'll come back to it before we end the show. But so a little bit more about how we met. So like I said, pre-COVID, well, not pre-COVID, we was in the middle of COVID, and I went to, someone shared with me a therapy website, Therapy for Black Girls, is it called? Is that what it is? And so I found your office on there, and I'm going through the list, and I'm like, all right, who do I want to pick? Like, this is, and the things that you focused on, grief and trauma, domestic violence, like anger management, like all those things resonated with me, because I'm like, I know I've been hurt. I had a really nasty divorce, survivor of domestic violence. Like, we had all of these things that were going on, and then you put COVID on it, and we can't move around, and you know what I mean? We just didn't have an outlet. Right. And so it was like, I got to get out of here. And we had our one session, and then, I can't be your client because now we're going to share office space and do these things. And so I love the symbiotic relationship that we have, because we are doing two completely different things. Like, you're providing therapy, and now, for folks that know us, Akea is our resident therapist. So anybody that's working with us, anybody that's volunteering with us, any families that we come across that are interested in therapy, we refer them to her. We try to make sure that there's resources so that they can get connected to her. And because I am so committed, for lack of a better word, or just knowing that what you're doing for people is life changing. You know what I mean? Because I know that what that one day did for me. And I know if people have more time with you and people in your practice, because you're not by yourself, there's people in your practice that are similar and have the same ethics and code of ethics and mindset and work ethic, that you're not here. I don't need your paycheck forever. What did you say? Now, if you just come in here to talk to me and you're literally just paying me to be your friend. You know what I mean? And we're not going to do that. We're not going to take people's money just, for whatever. You truly care about your clients. We truly care about the people and the work that we're doing. And we want people to be better. We want to have people be healed. So one of your programs is called Therapy Over Revenge. And I think that probably speaks a lot to what's going on in our youth today, in our society, in our environment. Can you speak a little bit about that? And folks, don't be Don't let her little innocent face fool you. This woman has been on Fox 29, CBS, like all the major news channels. Like she is holding it down for mothers and babies. Like she's just got a heart. That's why it's called Akea's heart. Like she is just really just pouring out her into the world. And I'm just so grateful. So talk to us about the Therapy Over Revenge program.
Sure. So first, I want to say thank you. I appreciate all those kind words.
It's the truth.
Therapy Over Revenge is a program that I started. I want to say right when COVID started, maybe right before. So through my nonprofit, Akea's Heart, I work with adjudicated youth and teenage parents throughout the city or throughout the state. And what was happening was that was when in Philadelphia the violence had started to. I want to say it was George Floyd, and that was the first riot that happened downtown. And once that happened, I don't know if that was just like a kickoff for everything. So that kind of started the violence trend that's happening. And my youth started reaching out because they were overwhelmed. Their friends were being killed. People were reaching out because they were feeling like, their friends just died and now, they feel like they're next. So they're going to go out fighting. So I started having conversations with them about, how can we attack this a different way? Do you want your family to feel the same grief that you're feeling if something happens to you? Because either way, if you get killed or if you go to jail, your family, it's a loss. So I started having that conversation, and then I realized that it was a need for people out, even who weren't a part of the organization. So I put together the Therapy Over Revenge program for people, for families and victims of gun violence to reach out, because being a gun violence victim is very traumatic, but also being a family member or a friend of someone who experienced that is also just as traumatic. So that program allows folks to sign up through the website and receive 3 free sessions just around the trauma that they have incurred around being either a survivor of gun violence or a family member of a victim, a friend of a victim. And it started out with just me, and I can say from the summer of July of 2020, is that when COVID started? March, 2020. Yep. Through September, I had on my own did 400 sessions just on my own. Then we had a big story that we aired on, I think it was Fox or Channel 6 or one of the news stations, and that caused a influx of people reaching out, but we didn't get any help. So I'm like, okay, now we have all of these people reaching out, and I have all of these people on this waiting list, but I need some help. I need some therapists. So I put out a plea, and I was able to get a couple therapists who donated their time to help with these requests, because it's so necessary and mandatory. And what I can say is that through my organization, the recidivism rate of my youth returning back to incarceration has went down almost 40%.
Nice.
Just through that program. And I have them who can attest to it. I was getting text messages like, Miss Akea, thank you so much, because when I was going to go do this, I felt like I heard your voice in my head, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to call Miss Akea. So instead of them going out to shoot somebody, they called me, and just that conversation was able to help them. Or they called one of my colleagues or one of my, other therapists, and that conversation, because sometimes all they need is somebody to listen, not somebody to judge them, not somebody to tell them, they shouldn't have did this or they should have did this, just somebody to listen. And it costs nothing to listen.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's absolutely amazing. So if there's any therapists out there that want to join in the movement of Therapy Over Revenge, please reach out to Akea. Her information there is Instagram, Akea's Heart Inc. and Akea the Therapist. Also on the website, Akea's Heart Inc.org. So, and yes, we can set up an office tour. We can have people come check you out and reach out to you and see all the other things. And so before we have a special commercial that we filmed for you. But before we go to that, as a therapist, what do you do for your own self-care and your own therapy? Do you have a therapist? I know the answers to these questions, but our audience doesn't know the answers to these questions. And they don't even think like, oh, a therapist needs a therapist, just like, a doctor needs a doctor, of course. And so share with us like your self-care journey, your therapy journey, and how, because you're going to tell us how many clients you had today. Because in the intro, I was like, she out there saving the world. So you saving the world. You know what I mean? What do you do to decompress in a healthy manner? Because we all can choose a positive or a negative response for our own response to our stressors and things like that. So share with us a little bit about your self-care.
Yeah, so I am very big on self-care. I do have a therapist, and I tell everybody, if your therapist doesn't have a therapist, you need a new one, because no one can internalize all of that, all of those emotions from all of those different people and not get overwhelmed, right? So you need to have a healthy outlet to be able to get that out. So I have a therapist. I also have a mentor that I talk to, which are two separate different people that are both clinical. So I'm able to, have supervisions and have those, have them hold space for me when I need to, as well as take time off, right? So I do have super busy days. I do have a lot of clients, but I also make sure that I'm very intentional about my mental health and giving myself a break when I need to, because I'm human just like you, right? I tell clients all the time that whatever you are, you can be a therapist, you can be a doctor, you can be a nurse, you can be a teacher. But before that, you're a human, right? All those other things are titles. So you have to remove that title and realize that you're a human. You need food, you need water, you need sleep, you need rest, you need time to rejuvenate so that you can save the world, right? Otherwise, you can't help anybody if you're a mess.
Right. That is so true, so true, so true. And so we're gonna go into this video because you left out one thing that you do that's kind of your therapy. So let's go into our commercial, and then when we come back, you can talk about what we share in the video and how that's therapeutic for you as well. Look at my office space, y'all. Look what we got going on in here. This is what I get to come to every day, or when I can. Got our little logo on the door, and such a peaceful environment, peaceful place to work, peaceful place to come and create, peaceful place to come and learn how you can contribute to your community, come and get resources for your community. We've got books by Black authors. We're normalizing the Brown Girl collection and positive affirmations for our little Black girls and brown boys. Our creative space that we are here vibing and healing and overcoming from the hard work that we put in each and every day, serving our community. Let me show y'all Calm on Purpose. It's a line of sprays to help with emotional distress, PTSD. We have shower gel, bath salts, journals, and all your bracelets that you can spray your spray on or just be bedazzled and feel good. So when I tell you this woman is modest, this woman is modest because every week she's got a new idea, a new something. And it's not some harebrained idea. It's like a legit thing that's going to make some money, but it's your therapy. Like creating is like this therapeutic thing for you. But like I said, it's not like you just painting, eggs. You're literally creating something that's helping other people. And it's like, here you are, your therapy is still helping other people. Talk to us about your creative
Yes. So I
Mind.
think my brain, the way my brain works is once I get overwhelmed, I need a physical way to be able to unload. So I started with writing and writing poetry and things like that. And then I don't know, I just woke up one day and I wanted to paint. And I went and I started painting, and about came the Brown Girl collection, and I'm all about positive affirmation. So adding them just was like a no brainer. Like, we need something positive, and it was just like it just happened. The Calm on Purpose legit happened by accident. I can't make it up. I had a client who, and I'm very intentional about trying not to take work home. So I had a client. Now, I am a trauma therapist. I work only with trauma, adults with childhood trauma and things like that. I had a client who had severe sexual trauma, and she would have night terror. She couldn't sleep. She had severe panic attacks, anxiety. And one day I was at home and I was in the shower and I was just thinking about her, and I'm like, I'm going to have to refer her out because I can't help her. And if I feel like I can't help you, then I'm going to do my due diligence to find somebody who can. It's not all about me. I need to find somebody who can help you get through this. And it just came to me like, some sort of like shower spray or some mist or some sort of scent. And I am very big on essential oils. I like to use them in my own house for myself. So I started to put these blends of essential oils together, and I would just give them to her to try out. Well, it worked. The issue was I didn't know what I had mixed up, so I couldn't recreate it. So I had to double back and take my time and figure out what it was. So through that process, I was able to figure out a perfect blend that works for panic attacks, that works for anxiety, depression, for racing thoughts. And it just became, it's so therapeutic for me to make, and then it's also rewarding because I see the effects of it. We sell out in the office almost every week, just from people coming in, and then the clients getting it, and the clients telling other people about it, and then having people call me or text me, getting random messages from people in Arizona or different places. Like, I had my son had panic attacks getting on an airplane, and we used this spray and it worked, and he's fine now. And people asking me, can they buy it by the gallon? And I'm like, I don't even know if I can use it by the gallon. But
Right.
it's very therapeutic for me, and then also helpful because it's rewarding. It's just rewarding all the way around.
That's amazing that, you know what I mean? And these are testimonials that I'm glad that you're sharing, because like your niche is that creative space. And that's the beauty of our relationship, right? Because now my brain is going, it's like, okay, well, she said this, we got that. I'm like, okay, my brain, very similar to you. When I get overwhelmed, my output or how I got to download is I'm creating creating a program, how we can help somebody else. Like, we're always creating ways to help other people because it's helpful for us. Like, work is my happy place. Like, when my personal life is going crazy, it's like, okay, work is something I can control. Like, I know what we're doing. We can create this, and this is going to be a thing. And that's such a beautiful compliment. And I appreciate you being the responsible. And that's another, just goes back to you being the type of therapist that you are, is that you weren't going to keep that client just to collect her money. Even though you weren't helping her, she wasn't progressing or getting any closer to any relief. That's what she was seeking, coming to you for. And that you really thought, okay, I might have to refer her to another therapist that can actually take her the rest of the way, because you couldn't, but you found something that could help, that made that breakthrough. And so that's beautiful. I'm just so happy with that. And so not only Calm on Purpose, and I'm going to give a quick shout out to the International Spring Festival. Both Akea and myself will be at the North Penn High School on this Saturday, April 15th, the International Spring Festival from 10 to 5, I believe. She's going to have all her Calm on Purpose products, all her books and journals and everything else. The Brown Girl collection will be there. So if you're interested and want to get some of her stuff, or, get a test or whatever, come to that event. But let's talk, because you talked a little bit about writing poetry. Let's talk about the books that you have. And so not only is she the therapist, the degrees and making these things, but she's also an author, y'all. And she's helping other people become authors. And there's just, when I say save the world, like, you're literally saving the world. one person, one child, one woman, one man at a time, and just giving them options. Like we all have a choice, right? That's why I say we have choice. Even though we may not like the choices that we have, we still have choices. And so you could have easily chose to do something different other than create. And with I don't have that talent to paint. And I mean, I can write poetry and stuff, but I don't have that painting, and I don't got the patience for the cricket. And I can't, that I can't do. I can write, I can develop and plan and plan out events and whatever else, like get you from point A to point B. But that's to let other people know, like, your outlet can look different. It doesn't have to be, oh, I can't paint, so I can't do that. Or I can't write, so I can't do that. Like you have done multiple things. And so just like anybody, pick something. And you know what I mean? You can do something. If you enjoy writing, you enjoy reading, you enjoy building, construction. I mean, there's just so many things. So talk to us about how your books came about.
So my very first book is called Mommy Wake Up, and many people think that it is my story. It is absolutely not my story. This book was written in 2017. At that time, I was a domestic violence counselor, and I had written this book for a client who kept explaining to me that her 4-year-old daughter didn't know what was going on when her and her husband would be fighting. Oh, she sleeps, she can't hear us, the door is shut. So I started to write just like a story. It wasn't even a book. I wasn't intentionally writing a book. It came about as a poem. I wrote some things down. I left it on my dresser. My sister actually came over one day in my business, in my space, and picked it up and read it and said, "Oh, you writing a book?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, what's this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, something I just felt like I needed to get out about a client." So she said, "You need to add some names and some pictures because this is a book." And in that moment, I didn't think about it that way. I reread it again and I was like, oh, and it rhymed. I didn't even realize that the book rhymed until afterwards.
You from North Philly, girl. You can rhyme.
I didn't realize that it rhymed until afterwards. So I reached out. I got on Fiverr because I had never written a book before. And in my world, prior to now, which is why I am the way I am, nobody helps you. So you can ask 1,000 people, but they want you to pay them $1 million for information. So I Googled it. I went on Fiverr. I got an illustrator from Macedonia. I had never even heard of the place.
The country?
It's in like Turkey.
Okay.
Yep. So that's how Mommy Wake Up came about. So it is about domestic violence, and it's told through the perspective of an 8-year-old. So how that went is when you write a book, before they bind it together, you have to approve it. So they sent in the book, and it wasn't even together. It was just pages. And this little girl, I knew that they had an appointment. The husband was so abusive that she had to pretend that she was taking her daughter to the doctor. So she would bring the daughter with her to the appointments. So we sat down to have our appointment. I gave the little girl the pages to the book. And we were having our session, and the little girl was like, "Look, Mommy, she looks like you when your eye was black. I remember you and Daddy was doing it." She couldn't read the words, but she could look at the pictures, and she was able to relate. So I was able to show the mom that, yes, she does understand. You can't unhear things. So because she heard it, now, just because she's not reacting, the sad part is that she is not reacting because now it's normal for her. This is a normal behavior. Like, this is what she's used to. So the book is a teaching book. Yes, it's told in the voice of a child, but it's really for adults to be able to experience and share with their children so they can understand from a child's perspective and point of view what's happening when they're in these domestic violence situations. So that's how Mommy Wake Up came about.
That's so powerful.
Yep. And then the coloring book is an affirmation coloring book. So each letter of the alphabet has an affirmation for them. When I had my son at 17, I was a teenage mom, and I remember teaching him the letters of the alphabet, and I would always do affirmations with him. And I don't know why all these years later, and I'm not telling y'all how old he is because y'all going to try to guess my age, but all these years later, I thought about it. And I remember when we would get to the letter S, he would say, "I am strong," and he would do his muscles. And for me, that was like something so powerful. I used to call people and like, listen to Mir say what letter S means. And everybody just thought it was like so cute. So I was like, why not? Let's teach our young Black kids some affirmations, right? Why do we have to say A is for apple? Because A can also be I am amazing. You know, why is B for ball when B is I'm brilliant? If we teach them this at a young age, then they'll grow up with that mindset, and we can, you know, we can produce a different generation of thinkers instead of a ball. Maybe they don't want to play ball, right? Maybe they want to be a doctor, and brilliant is, you know, something that they equate to that. So that was the mindset around that. And then I also have 2 journals. One is the Goal Getter Journal, which is just a blank journal that you write your goals down in and you get to them, which is the Goal Getter. And then the 5-minute daily gratitude journal is something that helps you to be more mindful, right? So everybody has 5 minutes in a day. It's literally just a structured way to give yourself 5 minutes to reflect and show some gratitude, because we a lot of times complain and talk about the things that we don't have when we forget to simply just think about the things that we do have. So this is just a quick way to remind yourself to be grateful for things that you do have in your life.
Right. And that's so powerful. And all of those books are available on Amazon. All you got to do is Google or put in the search Akea Williams, and those books will pop up. So please go on and buy them off Amazon so that they can take them off sale. So
also available in the office. All the books are here in the office too.
Yes. And if you're a Black author and you want to showcase your book in the office library, feel free to send in or reach out, and we can make that connection happen. And you know what I mean? We can do that that way. Like I said, we're always creating community for our people, whatever journey your life has taken you through that. I don't want to say the traditional, but, you know, the regular world just, you know, doesn't accept Black and brown folks that appear to be damaged, right? You could be damaged and broken because of the things that you've gone through in your life, and that, oh, well, you might not work here, so you might fit over here, or put us to the side. And it's like, no, we're creating our own community. We're creating our own space for our people, for our community that have trauma, that have overcome some things, that are formerly incarcerated, that, you know, whatever their life situation is, it's a judgment-free zone. We are just looking to give people a space to grow and heal and share their experience to help other folks grow and heal. And I just want to bring Rudy Huxtable back and say thank you for clarifying your comment. And essentially, they were just saying ditto, that yes, we were taught to sweep things under the rug. You didn't talk about it. What goes on in our house stays in our house. Don't be telling my business in the street because your ass got whooped if that's what you did, right? And so we, as you know, in the Black community, that's what you were taught, and probably in the white folks too. Like, it ain't just unique to us, you know what I mean? But, you know, for some reason, you know, white folks are out there and they're exercising their abilities to take advantage of these resources. And with April being Minority Health Month, we want not only, you know, people of color to take advantage of mental health services, but health screenings, screening your body, your colon cancer is like one of the number one, you know, killers of Black folks in our community, breast cancer and uterine cancer, all those types of things, even skin cancer. Just because you're Black skin doesn't mean it don't burn and that you can't get skin cancer. You can. You know, and so we just have to do better. We have to, you know, break those mindsets. And like you said, though, we've been brainwashed and tradition and taught to think certain ways. And as adults, we can make a choice to say, you know what, let me try to change my thought patterns. And if you need a therapist to help you, give you the tools to do that, then do that. You know what I mean? I can't just go out here and decide that I'm going to be a landscaper. I don't know how to landscape. I'm going to have somebody teach me. You know what I mean? We think that we can just do all these things, and it's like equating it. And I'm going to tell you a really quick story. I don't know if I told you this, but I had taken my daughter to the doctor, to the ER, because she was abused by a male friend of hers. And the nurse said, there's a saying, and I never really understood what the saying meant. It said once bitten, twice shy. Right? I think that's how it goes. And she said, if a dog bites you, the next time you see that dog, you're not going to run to the dog. You're going to shy away from the dog. And she was like, why, when we encounter abusive relationships with people, we don't exercise the same caution? And it's like, oh my God, like that's really the first time I ever heard that explained to me.
But also,
like,
We don't exercise that because it's a comfortable feeling. This person, you didn't meet this person and they bit you like a dog, right? A dog is going to bite you on the first encounter. A person is going to reel you in. They're going to make you feel like, you know, they love you, they care for you. You don't expect to go on a date the first time and get punched in the face.
Right.
You know, so it's a different level of comfortability. A dog is going to bite you on its first instance with you. So now that's the first impression that you get. You know that's danger. A person, they're manipulative. They're not going to do that on the first day because they want you to come back. They want to make you feel like they're the only person that you have so that they can abuse you. So that's why that correlation, it doesn't go that way. A dog is danger at first sight. A human, an abuser, I should say, is not on first sight. They reel you in. They make you feel comfortable enough to take the abuse. And then make you feel like it's your fault.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's so crazy. And see, that's why you're so smart. That's why I love you. That's why you my friend.
I didn't want you to go over nobody's head. Like, no, don't start thinking you crazy because you're not running. Because you're not running for a reason.
Right. Exactly. And that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And I'm gonna shout out to Dawn Johnson, who is talking about the Peace Be Still. So you want to talk about the Peace Be Still Calm on Purpose product and what that works or how that helps folks?
Sure. Peace Be Still is the room spray and linen spray for anxiety. So this is for people who suffer from anxiety. You might have trouble speaking in crowds. You might just have social phobia. You might just get nervous. So that is a spray that helps you to be able to self-regulate yourself, right? So you don't have to freak out. You don't have to get worried. This is something that instantly it grounds you, right? So this scent, once you smell it, it helps you to ground yourself and realize where you are in the present. Anxiety is the fear of unknown. So when you're experiencing anxiety, it's usually because you're not sure what's happening or what's going on or what's going to happen. So when you're using this Peace Be Still spray, it's helping you to remember that whatever is going to happen hasn't happened yet. And whatever happened already is in the past. So what you're experiencing right now may be a memory of something. And a memory means that it happened already. So we want to be able to keep you grounded, keep you in the present so that you don't experience those anxiety attacks, right? And then they come with the bracelets, right? The bracelets that you can spray them and you can take them with you. They're built-in fidgets for one. They're really, really good for kids. Built-in fidgets. And then also it's a constant reminder that you're not alone. You have this with you, your spray. You can spray your bracelets and you can smell that same scent. And then of course I'm a therapist. So if your child has a teacher who's a little snarly or whatever you want to call it, I write a letter and they get to wear their bracelet.
Right. See, and we can talk just like all my other guests. Like we can talk because, you know what I mean? I know fucking phenomenal people. And I am so grateful that y'all appreciate me and want to share your story on this show. Just because, like I said, this is my outlet to kind of give people, because every time I'm in a space where I'm learning and building with like-minded people, and I always say, I wish everybody else could see and hear this, because when you start to hear it in a different framework, you start to think differently. Like, oh, like you said in class, I'm not the only one. It's not just me. I'm not weird, or you know what I mean, on an island by myself. Like this is a real thing. Like this happens to more people than not. Like this is common, and we have to, all the systems of oppression are designed to keep us isolated and not talking about this, have us being shameful and feeling shame so that we don't share, so that we don't connect with people, and that we remain broken in our trauma, and then acting out and acting crazy and find ourselves connected with the criminal legal system or with drugs and alcohol or, you know, promiscuity, like anything bad, because we just want to dull those feelings that we have instead of, you know, I'm going to use Monsters Inc. because, you know, I'm a Disney freak. So Monsters Inc. was about, they used scare tactics to fuel their energy. When they realized that laughter was 10 times more powerful than that scare factor, they wanted to shut the whole shit down. You know what I mean? They wanted to hush it up. And I love Disney because they take real adult situations and put them in kids' situation scenarios, but you get it. And I'm like, damn, that's deep, because that's exactly how these big businesses that profit off of our fear stay in control and in power. If we get together and do away with our fear and come together, do you know?
And
they know the power that we have when you and I are talking, and me and Dawn is talking, and now me and Rudy is talking, and we're all talking, and Scotty and Mildred and Teresa and Darshell and Adrian and all these people and Zach, all these people, and they start talking to people, and they start talking to people, and now we have a community of people that are healing and healers. Good God, do you know? You know, I know you know, and they know. That's why they keep infiltrating our community. And I'm going way off topic. They keep infiltrating our community with all this negativity in our music, in our food, in our on our TVs, on our phones. Like they've got our young generation, this 15, 16, 17, and younger generation. Oh my God, like they're in trouble.
And that's all they know. So it's up to us to expose them to something different, because I can't blame you for something that you don't know. But once I expose you to it, now I can hold you accountable, right? I can't make you change who you are, but now you have options. Before, it was no options. You only knew how to do it this way. Now you have an option. And maybe 10 out of the 10 people don't want to change how they do it. But at least if we can get 5 other people to change it, that helps. That means we have 5 less criminals. That means we have 5 less people getting beat by police. We have 5 less people getting beat by abusers, right? Because they learned something. But we have to be we have to do our part in sharing the information, educating the people, so that whoever can retain the information does, and then they can go and share, and they can educate people, and then we are able to kind of take our people back, as much as we can.
Right. And like I said, we can keep going on and on and on. You know, Zach in the background talking about y'all got 5 minutes late. I'm like, you know what? We got started 5 minutes late. And so we're going to take this time.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Not at all. And it's just, this is how powerful this topic is. You know what I mean? And every time we have a guest, like the topics are just that powerful. You know what I mean? And so I think we've covered everything for the most part, but we do have one thing that I like to call the what the fuck moment. And what that means is like, and how it's either something surprising or shocking or just unbelievable, positive or negative, that you experience in your day or in the the world, current events or what have you. So in your day or in Akea's world, do you have a what the fuck moment that just kind of stopped you in your tracks and made you say, whoa?
Absolutely. Today, what the fuck? Today is Tuesday, April the 11th. I have seen 9 clients, did a complete photo shoot, did content creating for the website, and I'm tired as fuck.
And you had the time to you shared your time with me. You could be in your bed, curled up, doing nothing.
Literally, my 9th client, I ended at 7:02. I was in trouble because I was supposed to be on here, but we went over because she was having some issues, and I couldn't stop her in the middle of her expressing what she needed. So I was giving her homework assignment that she needs to bring back for next week, and I was a little late, so I apologize. But I'm here, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Yes, and we definitely want to have you come back and share more about all the new things, because we talked a little bit about the Brown Girl thing. The Brown Girls collection will be at the Spring Festival. I thank all of our commenters that came on tonight. Please like and share and subscribe to Purely Speculation on Facebook and our Instagram. Like and share. I put a post up today. We got 3 women that reached out to us. So instead of Taco Tuesday, it's $10,000 Tuesday. We're trying to raise $10,000 to bail out these 3 women. And my spirit cannot handle having to decide who gets their freedom and who don't. So please, y'all, help me out. Don't make me have to make that decision of what woman gets to come home to her family and what women have to stay behind bars, locked in a cage until they get justice. So if you haven't checked out our last episode of our Court Watchers, we had Judge Page, who's giving a shout out to Judge Page, who's holding it down in the juvenile court system. Please keep him in your prayers, as you know what I mean. He's a Black judge, and he's holding it down and trying to stand in the gap of disrupting that school to prison pipeline and incarcerating our children and criminalizing childhood behavior, in particular when it comes to Black and brown children. You know what I mean? So let's stand in the gap for him. And with that, I say thank you. I hope I didn't forget anything. I love you all. I love you, Akea. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I know you're tired because I know the work that you be doing and you be getting it in. And so I'm so appreciative of you taking your time to be with us tonight. And with that, I'll say peace and love, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Purely Speculation. If you learned something, share something. Please like, follow, and share this show. The more our communities know, the more they are empowered, and the faster we can create change. Purely Speculation would not be made possible without the generous support of the Community Justice Exchange, the Health Sparks Frank E. Boston Black Justice Fund, Philadelphia Foundation, and Reform Alliance. Thank you. Booyah!
Intuition different, already lived and dreamt it. Visions make my vision clear as I'm jogging through this fog of life. I be fog eyes with the fog set, body and I'm all